Alright, so our first one is going to be right here. This is going to be Goofy blowing dandelions towards us. So this is going to be on the path that's coming from Figment. Right now that Figment path is closed though. So the only way to get through it is by going over here, walking up on the path here. We're going to be right around the corner. But Goofy's here blowing dandelions. If you look over here across the way, there's this green umbrella. That green umbrella is actually a photo shoot right now where you can actually blow dandelions. Well, not real dandelions, but they are fake dandelions, free to blow. In honor of the fact that we've got Goofy over here blowing the dandelions. Alright, so like I said, we're going to make our way around the World Showcase. We're only going to do a portion of it today. And then we're going to be going through and continuing our journey up towards Japan today. And then in a future broadcast, we'll be continuing and going other places. So also, we just got a lot of people who just joined us. Hello, those people. So today what we're going to be doing, in case you're just joining us right now, is we're taking a look at some of the topiaries that are found here at the Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival. We're starting there with the Goofy one that we just took a look at, and we're going to make our way up to the Japan Pavilion where we are going to end today's broadcast. And then in the future, we're going to be going through and doing more broadcasts of more of these topiaries. And thanks for the Honey Bistro here. Alright, so the majority of the topiaries, or is it all the topiaries that we're going to see today, all the topiaries we're going to see today, have all been around in past festivals with the exception of that Goofy that we just took a look at. So the Goofy one originally was supposed to be for the World Cup one year. They had it so he looked like he was about to kick a goal into a soccer net, and so they have repurposed him to make it so he looks like he's blowing dandelion flowers. And our next spot over here is going to be right outside of the Canada Pavilion. We got Flower, made of flowers, Thumper, and Bambi here. Now, if you have been going to the Flower and Garden Festival for quite a few years, these guys have not always been here. They actually originally started off over at the Butterfly Garden, which is actually where, it's not where the current Butterfly Garden is, it's where the construction is still going on over at the start of Epcot. But you used to be able to go through there. These guys would be inside of that garden area, then they were outside the garden area, then they were back inside, and then they made their way over here to the Canada Pavilion. This is actually their second location, the Canada Pavilion. But overall, amazing topiaries. The next topiaries we're going to take a look at are going to be also in the Canada Pavilion. And these ones are going to be relatively new. They were added last year. The majority of the topiaries that we do see here during the festival are going to be topiaries that feature different Disney characters. But then there's a few that feature non-Disney characters. And our next section right here is going to be some of those non-ones. So right over here in the gardens, Victoria Gardens to be specific, we have these 3 Canadian geese here. And like I said, last year they were added to the festival. Good morning, Kayla. Just saw the messages. So I do like these additions though. I like it when we don't have it so they're all Disney characters. As much as I love the Disney character topiaries, I think it's really cool to see these other ones that are different animals or what have you. Mainly just animals. Are they all just animals, all the non-ones? Alright, we're going to make our way up to the UK Pavilion now. The UK Pavilion has the most topiaries in any of the pavilions. So over here we're going to have a total of 9 characters, 10, 11, 10 characters in one non-character one. The UK has been the creation of so many classic Disney animated films. So because of that, it just makes sense that we would have a few topiaries that are inspired by some of those tales. Our first one is going to be up here on the left-hand side. We got Captain Hook from the 1953 classic Peter Pan. We got Peter Pan from the 1952 classic Peter Pan. And then in addition to these two, we also have Tick-Tock Croc, the crocodile from, you guessed it, the 1952 classic Peter Pan. Petition for a front Dodge topiary. People would be like, who on earth is this guy? Maybe not the topiary of me, but as we're getting to our next section here, they do add a bust of Shakespeare over here by the UK bathrooms. So if they just put a bust of me on here, that'd be fine. So, Hamlet, Ophelia's famous flower speech in Hamlet explains several of the meanings behind plants common during Shakespeare's time. Here are some of the flowers Ophelia mentions and what they are meant to people in the Elizabeth era. Rosemary, remembrance; pansies, thoughts; fennel, flattery; columbine, deception; rue, bitterness; daisy, innocence; violets, and faithfulness. But moving on here, we got our next set of topiaries. We had 3 characters. This is going to bring us to 8. We got T-I double gutter, that spells tear. We got Piglet on top of Eeyore. Hey Roger, how you doing? Okay, and then over on this side, we've got Rabbit. And good. And Winnie the Pooh here as well.
It's Winnie the Pooh.
So you have 5 characters from the 100 Acre Woods here. Another addition that they added last year, which I think is a really cool addition, is if we head over to the back part of the UK Pavilion. This is going to be where we're going to have our, what have we had? We've had 8 characters so far, right? We had 3 from Peter Pan, 5, yeah, so 8. So this is where we're going to have our 9th character and our only non-character topiary up here. So this is going to be the Topiary Heritage Garden back here. And this is going to pay tribute to the different topiaries of Disney's past. So if you would come to Disney back in the 1970s, 1980s, and most of the 1990s, this is what most of the topiaries would look like. So here we have one of the original designs for Mickey Mouse. And then over here we've got one that I vividly remember from the 1980s. It's actually one of my earliest Disney memories. Is this guy over here. This was one of the elephants. These guys used to hang out over at the Ticket and Transportation Center, over by the monorail. And they were like out in the lawn. You could go out on the lawn and get pictures with them. My family has pictures with me and my brothers. Actually, I don't even think my youngest brother's in the picture. So it's probably just me and my 2 older brothers. which was bring us like late 80s. Alright, so we've had 9 characters, 1 a non-character in the UK Pavilion. We've got 1 left here. Oh, I'm just stuck in a tour group. We're gonna go this way. So during the Flower Garden Festival, you can also take a tea tour through this area right here if you're a fan of tea. I recommend doing it. I'm not a fan of tea, so I don't do it. Alright, so we're going to make our way to the last one here at the UK Pavilion, which is going to be Tinkerbell. So we have here on the left-hand side, near the massive line for fish and chips. If you ever here at Epcot and you want fish and chips, they do mobile order here, and it's always a walk-up. So you don't have to wait in this long line. You can bypass the whole line with no wait whatsoever. Okay, so over here we got Tinkerbell. One of the things I do like about the Tinkerbell area is we have all the little houses here for Tinkerbell and her fairy friends. But Tinkerbell is obviously the starring attraction here. Alright, let's make our way up to the France Pavilion for our next set.
We can let you guys play on the playground. Really? There's the butterflies.
So our next section is going to be France, and in the France Pavilion we only have a total of 4 topiary characters. And while we go up there, let's talk a little bit about the history of the topiaries in the France Pavilion. Because the France Pavilion was the last one to really kind of change to what the current topiaries look like. Now we saw the topiaries for Mickey and the elephant just now. And back up until about the early 2000s, most topiaries were like that. They just kind of had no expression, no face. They're just all plants. Still impressive. But then as time's gone on, they've started to go through and evolve these topiaries into, you know, actual, you gotta say living, breathing, but they're not living and breathing. Well, I guess they are living. They're plants. But they've evolved into much more detailed and much more realistic looking characters than what we had in the past. So when you would go into the France Pavilion years ago, we would have it so on one side, just take a look at the left-hand side here, that's going to be our empty spot, we're not pointing at the camera, people. Over on this side, and then on the side that's on my right-hand side, right behind you guys right now, they used to have it so there used to be a topiary of Prince Philip and Aurora dancing, and then on the other side, there would be Cinderella and Prince Charming dancing. They did not have any facial expressions. They were just completely blank. It's not exciting whatsoever. As time would go on, the character started to evolve more and more and have it to all these different details. And the last character that actually got any details added to her face, despite being a character who was around for years, was actually Belle from Beauty and the Beast, who's up here. So just a few years ago, Belle was completely faceless. I mean, you could tell that she had a head, but she was completely faceless, and eventually they would go through and give her facial features, which was nice because Beast was always with facial features and she was just faceless. So before we get there, this is Cogsworth and Lumiere from Beauty and the Beast. I've always liked the fact that Cogsworth's thing goes back and forth there on the TikTok. Now, at one point, they did have it so when the live action film came out, they had a few more topiaries from the film here. In addition to Cogsworth and Lumiere and Beauty and the Beast, we also had Mrs. Potts and Chip. But Mrs. Potts and Chip have unfortunately been locked in the cupboard, and we've never seen them again. They might have been here for 2 years, but that might have been it. Okay, I'm trying to get Alright, so here on in the central area here, we've got Beauty and the Beast, or Belle and Beast, if you want to say. As you can see, Belle has so much detail in her face now, and just about 6 or 7 years ago, she had no expression whatsoever. She was just literally a plant. Have I tried anything with Fubu's yet? No, not yet. There's only one thing that interests me for okay, so first off, I'm a very picky eater. I like chicken, I like burgers, I like ice cream, and I like pizza. And those are my main food groups. So that's why Food and Wine is my least favorite festival. It's just not, I'm not the main clientele for Food and Wine Festival. But from what I've seen, I haven't really looked at the food booths too much. But from what I've seen, there's only one thing that really excites me, and that is the peanut butter and jelly ice cream. That is over at Swirled Showcase. So we are going to make our way to Japan for our final one. While we go through there, we're going to be going through Morocco. Morocco does not have any topiaries anymore. They used to have an Aladdin topiary before the Spice Road table opened up. But when the Spice Road table opened, they got rid of a really cool area that used to be up here on the left-hand side. So I don't know if you guys remember it. But there used to be a little waterway on the left-hand side here. It was like a little, it was pretty much like a garden. And it had all these different little mechanisms there. But essentially what it was it was showing how people were able to obtain water in the desert. And so it was kind of like an oasis. That was right here in the pavilion. And it was right in this whole area. It went up to about this wall right here. And when they got rid of that, they unfortunately got rid of any location for Aladdin to have a topiary. So in the middle of that entire little mechanism, we used to have a faceless Aladdin, and that faceless Aladdin would sit there on top of the magic carpet. We're going to make our way up towards our final topiary. Now while we go up here, let's talk a little bit about the history of the topiaries that were found in the Japan Pavilion. Because for a long time, Japan had no topiaries whatsoever. They did have a lot of bonsai trees, which we still have a lot of bonsai trees. And we'll take a look at a few of the bonsai trees while we go up to the topiary. But the bonsai trees are actually owned and grown by local people. So I was actually at the park one time with a friend, and we ran into someone they knew, and they're like, oh yeah, my family owns this specific bonsai tree. And sure enough, her name was on the thing.
I'll be there in like 5 minutes.
There we go. So we got all these different little bonsai trees here. And so the bonsai trees have always been here in the Japan Pavilion for years and years and years and years and years. but we didn't have any topiaries. And then in 2011, we finally got a topiary over here, and it featured two characters. And the two characters were Lightning McQueen and Mater, because that was when the movie Cars 2 was about to debut. So in the movie, Lightning McQueen and Mater come to Japan, and so they figured this is going to be perfect. We will throw them over here in the pavilion. And then they disappeared, and there's no topiaries for a few years. And then about probably 5 or 6 years ago, we got this really cool dragon. Again, another non-character one, but overall, in my opinion, one of the coolest ones. And also one of the coolest angles. I mean, the spaceship her up the archway and the dragon there. It's not bad at all. But we are going to be wrapping up this broadcast right here. Like I said, we will be back next week, probably next week, at 1 o'clock on Eastern Time on Saturday, to take a look at more of the topiaries that are found here at Epcot. We're going to be breaking this up into probably 4 different broadcasts, with this one being our first one. So if you guys want to join us, we will go through and take a look at the rest of World Showcase probably next week, and then we'll do 2 videos of the front part of the park as well. So if you guys want to join us, make sure you are subscribed, that you ring the little bell for notifications so you know when we go live. But thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope everyone out there is having a super califragilistic expialidocious type of day, and we will see you guys all a little later. Bye-bye.